had a certain story that you were trying to pass off as the truth. Isn't that true?
What story was that?
Well, you were trying to tell everybody that the Cartier glasses and the several other items that had been pawned were given to you as gifts from your father. Isn't that true?
Actually, the watch and a pair of glasses at first were mine.
And how many times did you pawn those gifts that your father had given you?
A few times.
Okay. And what was the purpose of pawning those items?
For money.
Okay, well, when you got money, did you ever buy those items back?
Yeah, sometimes, but recently I wasn't able to purchase the watch back. And I had two pair of glasses.
Okay.
You know, first, the glasses they got me from the robbery, you know, once I got them out, I got them fixed. And I ended up selling those glasses for $1,500 and bought another pair of glasses. Okay. And I also pawned the second pair that I bought, so you don't get it confused, the two pair of glasses that I had.
Okay, I'll try not to get confused, but the fact of the matter is, for a certain period of time, before your deal was made with the authorities, you were trying to make a story up in which all of these items that you had pawned, okay, had been repeatedly pawned because they were yours originally. Isn't that true?
As far as the my watch, which was the black watch, digital watch, and a pair of glasses.
Well, earrings and the lady.
Mr. McWilliams, maybe I'm a little confused. Are you talking about his pawning the robbery proceeds, or are you talking about his pawning his own personal property that he had legitimate?
Actually, both, Your Honor, to demonstrate an inconsistency.
Okay, well, let's take them one at a time.
Okay.
Because we're talking about separate items.
All right.
Okay?
There were items that you pawned, correct?
Yes.
Some of which came from illegal activities such as holdups and break-ins. Isn't that correct?
The only thing I pawned from a robbery was the Cartier glasses. Before, like I said, I got them fixed and ended up selling them and buying my own pair. But as far as the other receipts, there wasn't so much as me pawning them with stuff that was sold.
Okay. When they were sold, you were getting them. Okay, so you're making a distinction between pawning something that you were going to give as security to get cash as opposed to selling something and getting money back in which there was no intent ever to retrieve those items. Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
Okay. And so when asked about the items that you had sold, okay, and got money and there was no intent, wasn't it your first story to the authorities that those were in fact items that were yours to begin with, that you were just merely pawning for short periods of time?
See, I think what you're getting at is, it's a difference. What I pawned is what I pawned that was mine. The other stuff that's from like Motor City, the gold store, that was never getting pawned for no short period of time. I was strictly selling them. That's how that went.
Okay. And that was part of the agreement between you and Robert Williams and Timothy Russell with regard to the booty, sometimes known as the fruits of the criminal activity. Isn't that correct?
It was with all of us, Kevin, Tim, and Robert Williams. That was the agreement for me to go in there and turn in the stuff.
And certainly, sir, you would agree with me that that was not your story from the beginning. Isn't that true?
My story at first I didn't know that them specific, what you talking about is from like the gold store and stuff that I was really trying to sell. As far as like my watch and everything, that was stuff that I was pawning. That's why my story was that I was pawning those items, because I really was.
Was there any point in time in which you claimed that Kevin Smith was selling guns or anything like that?
I don't know if he was selling guns. I know he traded.
So you don't know. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. Did you ever tell anybody that the gun that was allegedly used at the Oak Drive event was in fact sold?
I know they got rid of it. Don't know for sure if they sold it or traded it.
Okay. Well, thank you very much.
All right.
So let's talk about that gun. You said you thought the defendant, when he came back from shooting Judge Berg, had a handgun, right?
Yes.
You're in the front seat of the car, correct?
Yes.
The defendant and Robert Williams are running to the car to get in the car to drive away, right?
Right.
Was the car running at that point, or was it sitting there waiting to be started, or was it running?
It was running.
It was running. So they get in, you take off, right?
Right.
Okay, and you said you don't recall seeing a gun in Mr. Williams' hand that night, right?
Right.
But you do recall seeing a gun in the defendant's hand, right?
Right.
Okay. Do you know where they got, which door they got into?
They got it from the passenger behind the driver's seat.
In the back seat?
Yes.
Both of them at the same time?
Yes.
Okay, and then you took off, right?
Right.
Okay. Now you said that gun that the defendant had, which you thought was a .38,
Right.
that gun was later gotten rid of, right?
Yes.
How did they get rid of it, do you know?
I think they traded. I don't know for sure how they did. I'm not going to tell you I did because I don't. But I just know that the gun,
Your Honor,
they
I'm
got
going
rid
to
of it.
object. That's certainly and obviously speculation.
How do you, I'll ask the question to clarify.
Go ahead,
How do
please.
you know they got rid of the gun?
Because we had a select, probably had 4 guns. And that was one of them, man. You know, at a point after that happened, a few days later they didn't have that no more and there was another gun.
So that gun was
So-
gone and there was another gun that was replaced.
Yes.
Did you ever talk to the defendant or Robert Williams or Timothy Russell about getting rid of the gun that he used to shoot Judge Berg?
No.
Okay. All you know is the gun is gone. You don't see it anymore.
Right.
You see a new gun in place of it, right?
Right.
Okay. And so from that you conclude that someone got rid of the gun that was used to shoot Judge Berg, correct?
Right.
Okay. Did you have a conversation with the defendant or Russell or Williams about getting rid of that gun?
No.
Okay. Were you ever part of the trading that went on between those you 4 individuals and people with firearms?
I was there when one gun was purchased, but as far as the other ones, I just gave my share of what.
You paid your share of whatever the gun cost.
Right.
Who was that person that gun was bought from?
I don't even know the guy. He was just in apartments that Robert Williams stayed in. It was like a young guy selling guns.
Let's talk about Robert Williams for a second. You told us and you told Mr. McWilliams that he's your cousin, right?
Right.
Are you blood relatives with him?
Yes.
Okay. And you told him, Mr. McWilliams, that you were just as close to the defendant as you were to Mr. Williams. Is that true?
Now, what I was saying is, as close as Timothy and Robert Williams was, just as close as Kevin and Robert Williams was. Those were initially his friends, you know. When I went around when I was younger, I knew him since I was like 12, you know, but that was just by me going around to my grandmother's house and being with my cousin, and these was his group of friends, and that's just how that went.
So you were the outside man.
Basically.
So you met the defendant and and Timothy Russell through your cousin Robert Williams, right?
Yes.
Okay. So the 3 of them were closer than you were to them, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Did you strike that? When the police initially, you got arrested initially for the Faust robbery, right?
Right.
You were charged with that, right?
Yes.
Now, when you got arrested, you initially tell the police or anyone else your involvement in this big conspiracy, did you?
No.
You didn't tell anyone anything, did you?
No.
Did you lie about your involvement in your robberies?
Yes.
Okay, why?
Because I didn't want to go to jail. That's basically why I didn't want to admit to committing no crime, you know.
Did you talk to the defendant or to Timothy Russell or to Robert Williams about your involvement and what you should or shouldn't say? Was that ever discussed?
Well, when I saw him a few times down in, the court bullpens, and it was just saying, they asked about that, the judge shooting, you just say you don't know nothing about it.
Okay. So when you saw them in court, the conversation was don't say nothing about the judge being shot.
Right.
That was an agreement that all 4 of you talked about, right?
Yes.
Okay. Just like when after the shooting, Kevin Smith said, don't sell him out for the reward money, right?
Right.
Okay. So you'd see him, there was a conversation, don't talk about the judge shooting, right?
Right.
Okay. And you didn't, did you?
Didn't.
Okay. In fact, you didn't until after your cousin came forward, isn't that right?
Right.
Did you learn that your cousin came forward and gave details about that shooting prior to you doing that? Did you learn that?
Yeah, before I did, yeah, I found out that he gave up details about it.
Okay. And then after he gave details, were you offered a chance to give up details?
Yes,
And that's when you said you wanted to, correct?
correct.
Now initially, after that point, you still lied though, right?
Yes,
That's when you lied and said the DCA was involved in driving the car, not you, correct?
correct.
Now, isn't it true, Mr. Adams, that you came forward on your own and said, I need to correct my statement?
Yes,
And that's when you said you were involved, right?
right.
So initially you lied, you talked to the defendant and the other people about not talking about the judge shooting, right?
Right.
And then when you found out Mr. Russell was testifying, you decided to cut a deal for yourself, right?
Mr. Williams?
Mr. Williams, I misspoke.
Yes,
Okay. Is that when you did that?
yes.
That's all I have.
Mr. Williams?
Yes, Your Honor, a slight indulgence with regard to maybe something that was outside the scope of redirect,
Go ahead.
just slightly. Did you participate in the event that happened of tying up the gentleman on Mr. Reeser on Faust Street?
No.
Did you go into the house?
Yes.
Okay, you saw that man being tied up?
No, he was tied up once I came in.
Right, he'd already been tied up, correct?
Correct.
And you took the fruits of that item out to your car, for example, the TV,
Yes,
and you actually pawned that, having seen this man laying on the floor in his own house tied up. Is that correct?
yes.
And as a matter of fact, either you or whoever in fact did that was using a laser gun. Isn't that true?
Yeah, it was a gun with a laser on it.
Okay, and that was in fact Timothy Russell or Robert Williams. Isn't that correct?
Correct.
Thank you.
Any questions by the jurors?
I just did.
Mr. Adams, you can step down. Yes. Officer, would you come forward and give your full name to my court reporter, if you would, please?
Okay, thanks.
Would you raise your right hand for me, if you would, sir? Do you solemnly swear that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Please have a seat. Just the microphone in front of you, if you would.
May I inquire the witness, Your Honor?
Please.
Tell me your name, sir. What's your name?
Man is Croman.
I'm sorry, one more time, sir.
Manix Croman.
Mr. Chroma, I can see by your uniform that you appear to be a Detroit police officer. Is that correct?
That's correct.
How long have you been a Detroit police officer, sir?
21 years.
What is your current assignment, sir?
Police officer.
For what?
11 precinct.
Okay. How long, sir, have you been assigned to the 11th precinct?
My entire career, 21 years.
21 years. Okay, very good. I'm going to take you back in time, sir, if I can, to the day of March 19th, 2015. Sometime after 10:30 in the evening, sir, did you have the opportunity to go to 235 West Grigsdale Street in the city of Detroit?
That's correct.
And is that Grigsdale address, is that confined in the 11th precinct of the city of Detroit?
It used to be 11 precinct, but now it's 12 precinct.
Okay, okay. So back in March of last year, that was in the 11th precinct?
I'm not for sure because the department was rearranged. So.
Okay. All right. On any event, did you have occasion to go to 235 West Grigsdale Street back on March 19th, 2015, around 10:40 in the evening?
That's correct.
And were you working and on duty as a Detroit police officer assigned to the 11th precinct at that time?
Yes, I was.
Were you by yourself or did you have a partner, sir?
I have a partner.
Who was your partner back in March of last year?
Renelle Jones.
I'm sorry?
Renelle Jones,
Renelle Jones.
a female officer.
Okay. And why did you go to that address on Grigsdale, sir?
It was a police run.
What was the nature of the run?
The nature of the run was RA, armed robbery, home invasion 1.
And did you actually go to that location?
Yes, I did.
And when you got the location, was there a single family residence, a house?
Yes, it was a single family.
And when you got the location, did you speak to an individual by the name of Charles McFerrin?
That's correct.
And was he an elderly gentleman?
That's correct.
About 75 years old at that time, correct?
That was incorrect. Well,
Do you recall if anyone else was present besides Mr. McFerrin at that location at that time?
no.
And was Mr. McFerrin the one who called the police and said he'd been robbed?
I'm not sure who called, but he said he called.
Okay. But when you got there, he was there, right?
Yeah, that's correct.
And did you speak to Mr. McFerrin?
Yes, sir.
Without telling us what he said directly, did he give you certain information?
Yes,
And did it relate to the robbery that had just taken place at his house?
that's correct.
Did he indicate to you that he had just been robbed?
That's correct.
And did he indicate that items were taken from his house on Grigsdale Street?
That's correct, sir.
Okay. Was there anyone else, I think I asked this before, was anyone else present besides Mr. McFerrin when you were there?
No, just me and my partner.
Did he give you a description of the perpetrators that were involved?
Well, he gave a general description.
Tell me about that.
He said that he been robbed four black young men. Yeah.
4 black males.
Yes.
Did he give you a physical description of those 4 black males?
Well, he said they were all wearing ski masks, and all 4 were armed with handguns.
All 4 had guns.
Yes.
Was he taken from outside the house to inside the house?
Yes.
And inside the house, was he robbed?
Yes.
And were items taken from his home?
Just a minute. He said his watch was taken and jewelry, $160 in cash, and miscellaneous items.
Various sundries or items?
Sundry credit cards and ID were all taken.
Other than the description of 4 black men with guns wearing ski masks, did he give you a description of the persons who took him inside his house and robbed him?
Well, he said all 4 rushed to him and they ordered him to open the door and disarm the alarm. And once he was in, he was searched, they told him to lie down on the floor. He complied,
He complied?
Yeah.
And that's when he was robbed?
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, officer. No other questions?
No questions, Your Honor. Thank you.
Any questions by the jurors? Officer, thank you so much. You may be excused, sir.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Will we approach him?
Sure. All right. All right, ladies and gentlemen, my understanding is we've run out of witnesses today, and see you tomorrow morning, 10 minutes to 9, if you would, please, and have a nice evening. See you tomorrow.
All rise.
Don't worry about me. Just, yeah. Thank you. All right, we're in recess on this case till tomorrow morning.
Thank you, Your Honor.
I'll hear you in the morning. I'll hear you in the morning, Mr. Smith.
Your Honor, I just wanted to, this please is very urgent. My bad. Well, Your Honor, ever since my last case, Your Honor, I complained to you about him just a few seconds ago.
No, in the morning, Mr. Smith. This is going to be lengthy. I have other matters that I have to attend to. I will hear you in the morning. I am not going to hear you now.
Put that pen back on the table, man. Come on.
I'm coming, man. I'm grabbing my stuff.
All right, come on.
All right, man. I ain't really trying to kick it. I'm grabbing my stuff. I ain't got no time, man. I'm grabbing my stuff.